Hi there, Let's Talk Sports fans. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk New York Sports. And who am I going to talk New York Sports with? It's, of course, Keith Engle from TGI Sports Talk. Thanks for joining me today, Keith.
Excellent. Glad to be with you, Dan, as always. And I hope my internet goes well. I moved my office and my studio this morning from the second floor of the house to our finished basement as we get prepared to put some carpets and stuff in. And I'm much further from the router than I was, but it appears to be okay. And I did the Major League Baseball update the other day earlier. I just have to be careful. I'm on this table. It looks like I'm in an earthquake sometimes if I lean the wrong way. So anyway, it's good to be with you, and I hope everything is looking good with the video.
Yeah, it's good. And trust me, it's not just you what are having issues. I've just had a message of one of our shows that as we was talking, the invite hasn't come, so I'm multitasking. So that's not just to do with you, it would seem.
Well, that's good to know, I guess, because it's been going on for a couple of weeks with me. Somebody will get it and somebody won't. So anyway, it could be.
So yeah,
I scheduled, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't. Our Kevin Mitchell interview didn't get go live at 6 o'clock last night because I set it for 6 o'clock this morning. So, so our views might have been down a little bit on that, but we can talk about rescheduling it too. You and I can after.
yeah, that's no problem. I mean, I've watched it actually earlier on today. I thought it come out very well. I hope you had as good a time filming it as it come across.
I did. You know, there were times where it felt like had a little disconnect, and it could have been the phone because, sometimes you get a phone connection and there's a little bit of a delay. And but he was very forthcoming, I thought, in a lot of his answers. And at the end, when we were talking about his career and whether he'd gotten what he should have out of his career, he was very, forthright about the fact that he's the one that held himself back from having what could have been a Hall of Fame career. This guy was a great player when he was on his game.
Yeah, I mean, it come across. I thought it was a very truthful interview, and I really enjoyed it. And I will give him credit. He was. It reminded me a bit of the Matt Robinson interview where he was very truthful within himself. Some ex-pros blame other circumstances rather than themselves. And for both of them, it's not like they weren't saying things maybe didn't work against them, but they also took some of the blame themselves, and I like that.
Yeah, he obviously there were some circumstances in his career that he thought, he got caught in the middle of things, like his exit from New York, or after only one season. He was very frank about how the Mets thought he was a bad influence on some guys who turned out to not need bad influences. Obviously, they got in trouble all on their own. But it was fun. It was a fun hour.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. He was very keen when I think I told you this when I was booking him. He was like, "Yeah, of course I'll come on. When can I come on?" So yeah, I like that about him. It's always keen when you're. It's always good when your guest wants to come on.
And then he was on the golf course when we were supposed to start, so I had to wait for him. But that's fine. He wanted to do it while he was playing, and I'm like, dude, I can wait for you. I'm not going to interrupt somebody's golf game. I know how important golf is, believe me.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe a future podcaster slash ex-pros pro-am, and you might play golf with him one day.
Absolutely. Like everybody I interview plays golf, so that's what all retired athletes do. So I'm ready.
Yes, and we got a heck of a few guests coming up for you, Keith. It's been a good week booking guests. We've got Delvin Williams coming on, and I hope I'm pronouncing this name. Dick Brago, is that right? Oh, I copied it down.
Yeah,
in
Dick
a
Drago, former major league pitcher, pitched with the 75 big star with the 75 Red Sox, one of the best World Series ever.
So yeah, they're both keen. Dick was like very keen. He's like, yeah, I'll come on. When do you want me to come on today? I think he would have literally come on there and then. So
That's
I
good.
like that from him.
Good job.
Um, and before we get started, I want to just say two things. Anyone that's watching this and ain't checked out Keith's page, TGI Sports Talk, please do. Obviously, very big part of Let's Talk Sports, and Keith's a very good friend of mine. So if you ain't checked it out before, please do support his Facebook page and YouTube page. I would consider it a personal favour.
Thank you for that, Dan. And you're a big part of what I do as well. So thank you for everything you do for me and the rest of the guys. So thank you.
No problem at all. And one other thing I want to mention is we've got a charity weekend for um a church not too far from your neck of the woods. Keith, of course, young Lucas Logan plays basketball there, and it unfortunately had an electrical fire. We're running from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Got loads of guests, Super Bowl winners, Pro Bowlers, ex MLB players, you name it. We've got it's everyone. Please check us out. Even if you can't support the GoFundMe page, just tuning in and commenting helps. And obviously, if you can share it, then if you can't donate, someone else might be able to. I will be adding $200 because I'm a firm believer in I won't ask someone to donate if I won't do it myself. And Rob Lucas's father said he'll match it because he can't have me showing him up. So we've already got off to a great start.
Well, that's great, and let me know how I can help that day. I'd be glad to help out. And I guess I got to look for it on the Let's Talk Sports page. I want to share it to my page, and I haven't again made the time. I don't like to say don't have.
Um,
Everybody makes time for what's important to them, so I haven't made the time yet to go find it.
so the link isn't uploaded yet because I've had this sorted for like 2 weeks, and as would but most people agree, and then they get a golf game, and then council. So every time I've got the lineup sorted this week, another guest pulls out. So it's been fluid. I was working on it up until about 4 a.m. last night and early this morning, and I've got the lineup all sorted. So there's actually an expatriate was my last minute guest, Keith.
Who's that?
Let me get his name. Coincidentally, he's been on my one of my Facebook friends for some time. Ricky Reynolds, I believe he played for Washington as well.
I remember Ricky Reynolds. I believe he's a linebacker with the Patriots back in I want to say the maybe late '80s.
So yeah, he said he'll come and help out. He said even his wife agreed he can do it. So looking forward to that.
We all have those hurdles to jump. That's for sure.
Yeah, we definitely do. So everyone be sure to check it out. I will kick off the day. I've got Derek Brown, ex Giants player, coming on, ex Notre Dame tight end, past guest of mine. He's looking to get more involved in Let's Talk Sports. I thought this was a good opportunity.
Absolutely. Great job.
So yeah, Rick, I saw your comment. I will work on more Viking players because I know that is in your contract as a subscriber.
I didn't know you could make those kind of requests. Good job, Rick.
Um, so Keith, if we start with the Patriots, a rumor cropped up this week due to an in-person visit a certain quarterback what you're very high on. I wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you think it could happen? Because I'm a little bit dubious, but I'll let you kick off
Yeah,
um, the
I'm
subject.
I'm very dubious, to use your word. This feels like more of Bill Belichick poking the bear that is Mac Jones, and trying to light a fire, because I don't think they have any intention of drafting a quarterback in the first round, which it would take to get Will Levis. Now, I personally think the Patriots will trade back from where they are, and they could get Levis. I mean, look at people have got him going everywhere from 4 to the 20s, and you might get him later in the first round. But I do not see this team taking a quarterback in the first round. Now, I do see him taking a quarterback, somebody like Jake. God, what's his name? Hafner, I believe. I hope I'm saying his name right, from Fresno State. That's a fifth round, sixth round pick, though. That's what I foresee them doing there. I think this was just Belichick, as I said,
Yeah,
poking Mac Jones a little bit.
I do think he is kind of out on Mac Jones. I don't see them taking a quarterback personally speaking. That's just how I see it. If he's completely done with him, I think you could make an argument because this is a little bit of a joke, but I guess you could say they don't use their first round picks that wisely. So use another first round pick if you had to move up. Would it make a difference? But
Yeah.
that being said, I don't see it happen. Johnny and Scott and Tanner was talking about this on the show the other night, and I was commenting. Um,
I
is
think that.
Mac as bad as everyone thinks because of the OC situation? I don't think he's elite, but I think he's better than the general opinion is at the moment.
I do too. I mean, look at a lot of the general opinion around the Patriots is that this kid is okay or very good. I mean, there's just one guy. He's a very important guy, obviously, but the rest of the organization is still very high on Mac Jones, and does feel he was done a disservice last year in the situation they put him in his second year, which is very important, as I've said over and over again, to the growth of a young quarterback. That second year is really a building block year, and they did him no favors with the gamble that Belichick took with his coaches. It didn't work out. Cut the kid some slack. And Belichick, again, he's got this grudge now because of the whole going to Alabama for help thing, So
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine. And look at as far as this pick, I don't see the Patriots picking where they picked in. They could trade right out of the first round. I wouldn't be shocked next week, because I don't think the talent. I think this is a deep draft, but I don't think it's overwhelmingly like top shelf talent that you have for the money you'd have to pay for first round picks this year. I think Belichick's definitely trading back, if not all the way out of the first round.
I agree. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see. And a bit of a cheeky plug, we do have our draft show coming up next week. I say show, but we're going to be going 3 days deep. We've got every team covered, so everyone be sure to check that out. And Rick, I know you're a big Vikings fan. I'm having Dan Brosnan, one of my contributors, come on. You will not meet a more excitable Vikings fan. Very nice guy. So be sure to check out our coverage. It's just an opportunity to showcase all the voices we've got on the network and have some fun while doing it.
He's not calm, cool, and collected all the time like I am, Dan.
So he's got a certain amount of energy. I found him by accident. I didn't know this when he connected with me, but he's got a very big YouTube channel, not sports. It's called the Fan Club, which is pop culture. They get like he will get a million views on a video.
Wow.
Sometimes talking about Power Rangers. It did start out as pop culture and sports, but as he said to me, he loves sports, but he loves feeding his family more, and it went in a direction of pop culture. So he likes dipping in his toe in the water, doing sports with us, and obviously creating his own content. And one of the reasons he likes working with me is because he says, absent of himself, I'm probably the hardest working content creator out there. So we have similar, well, I say similar personalities. We've got similar work ethics. He's got an energy I could never bring.
Million views, man. I got to get into pop culture. I can't even say the word. Problem is I did it again. The pop culture I'd be up on would be from like 40 years ago. That's the problem there.
Generally a good bloke. I lean on him a lot. We will talk off the air about. He tells me what I should and shouldn't do. He said to me a long time I should. Um, People like to approach me on social media, so I should look into managing people's account. That's happened. So he's kind of my guru, if you will. So, Rick, I think you'd enjoy it. Be sure to check out our footage. I know Keith will make some sort of appearance, or there's a
Yeah.
rumor of it. Alan's hosting some of the time as well, so can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to popping in when I can because I'll be in that beautiful luxury spot, Lansing, Michigan, which I'm sure everybody's dying to get to. So I'll be looking for something to do.
Yeah, and I'll kick the show off with my health situation. I obviously can't do all of it, but Johnny is going to be holding my fort down, and the Just Fans guys from our Texas contributors will be helping as well, and they always bring the fun back to us. So be sure to check it out.
Well, I hope to be in a sports bar in Lansing, Michigan, so I'll do live remotes from there.
I can't wait. Nick and Tanner's going hope to connect during the show, which I did say to them, I've no idea what condition they'll be. Their picked, so that should be interesting.
That would be interesting.
Um, so the New York Giants are another team what's in an interesting spot. Um, I've seen a lot of articles this week that they're probably going to go down the route of best player available, and I know we've had chats about maybe they should do O-line or maybe a receiver. I kind of, the more I think about it, I like the best player available because last year's shown they do have a certain amount of depth on this team. They don't have that many star elements on this team. So I think what they need is difference makers. So why reach for a position if there's a best player available? I think you do that and just add them to this base you saw last season. How would you like to see them approach it? Would you like best player available or would you go for position of need?
Well, I think they're in position now where I think they can take the best player available. I do think myself that it's very possible the best player, if they stay where they are, uh, available, will be a wide receiver. Because from what I see, Jordan Addison from USC may fall all the way down there, and he is a really good player, and he would fit this Giants offense really well. I think if he falls that far, and they stay where they are. He may end up being the guy. He's one of the guys that I would be zeroing in on. But yes, best player available is where I'd go as well.
Yeah. I like that. I'm intrigued to see how this draft will play out for them because last year they were a bit hamstrung. The roster was a little thin and they didn't have the prep time most front officers did. So this year is it's sort of like how Joe Douglas's first draft went. You almost discounted that, and then you need to look at this. I think this draft will tell you a lot about how they're going to do things going forward.
Yeah, I think you're I think you're exactly right there, Dan. This look at this is a football team that's not that far away. They need again best player available, but hopefully that best player is a wide receiver because they do have a hole there. They're a little bit better if guys are getting healthy, but they didn't do a ton other than hope some guys get healthy on them. So they're going to have to go wide receivers somewhere. And I think this draft is pretty deep in wide receivers myself. So they might pick more than one here. And they really need to get some talent around Daniel Jones in those skill positions.
Yeah, I agree. So moving to the New York Jets, still on Rodgers' watch to some extent, but I think most fans they're not really on Rodgers' watch when it happens. It
Well,
happened. How do you see this playing out? Do you think it'll happen before or after the draft, Keith?
it's starting to it's it better happen before the draft. I mean, for both these teams' sakes, but the 49er talk is getting louder and louder and louder. A lot of talk that they're going to trade Trey Lance and bring in Rodgers. And if the Jets don't find a way to come up with a fair offer in the Packers' eyes, and it gets harder once another team gets involved. And if the 49ers are serious, the price is going to go up, and they better get this done soon, or they're going to lose them. And the Jets have no plan B. Their plan Bs are all over the league. There's none left.
I agree. I think, to be honest with you, what I would do if that did happen, and I don't know how much they would consider it, I would then get Lamar Jackson done if I was them, to
Yeah.
be honest with that's complicated, but what other options do they have?
They'd have to probably go big or just punt the season because you're not winning without a quarterback, and that'd be a shame because they've got enough guys to be able to contend. The defense is good enough to contend now, but without a quarterback, you might as well just stay home.
Yeah, I agree. And look, their backup options is mute. They can't take chances because they've got Zach Wilson and basically a third stringer for career third stringer. So they
Yeah.
ain't got very many options. So it will be, but I don't know how much I believe that for the 49ers because then what they doing with Purdy and Lance, it's just that would be crazy. I'm not sure. I could see Tennessee, which has been another rumor,
Mm-hmm.
that I can see the sense in. But the 49ers, I believe they've still got to give next year's pick,
Yeah,
if I'm not
I,
mistaken.
yeah, you're right. I think they have no first or second rounder this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So, um, the Packers would have to settle for waiting a couple of years. But and to Rick's point, I think what Rick's talking about here was Jordan Addison would go to the Vikings. He thinks before the Giants could get to him.
um, yeah, it can be interesting. The thing is, I don't believe anything what comes out for any team this time of year because it's just
Yeah.
crazy. I can see a few teams what might be interested. What it comes down to, no one can answer this apart from the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, is how locked in is he to that project? For instance, if he went to Tennessee, I don't love those options. The reason why I think he likes the Jets is Garrett Wilson and that young core, but the Titans is a mess, to be honest with you. This isn't the Titans of a couple of years ago.
No, and he can't. You can't trade for him if he doesn't want to be there and he's not sold, right? He's sold on the Jets. He could likely be sold on the 49ers, but the Titans are not going to be part of this. I mean, a lot of rumors about the Titans trading up in the draft to the third spot to get a quarterback, which is probably more likely than them getting Aaron Rodgers. That's for sure.
I agree, and also they're in cap trouble, so Rodgers wouldn't work, but a rookie quarterback would almost solve a lot of their issues. They might have to obviously pay out this year for his rookie deal, but then the next 4 years is, well, not free, but essentially free by NFL standards. So that would reset a lot of things. But I just don't see how they can make Rodgers work because that O line is going to be atrocious
Yeah.
this year. Everyone's gone.
They're not close enough, as you said. I mean, the talent pool in Tennessee is really, really dissipated here over the last couple of years for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I'd rate because let me pose this question to you, Keith. What's a worse receiver call? Because there's still question marks over Traylon Burks. Is the Packers what they had last year worse, or is the Titans worse? Because as crazy as it sounds, the Titans might actually have a worse receiving core.
I think by far, I think there's some talent. There was some talent there. I mean, Lazard, who just signed with the Jets, had a good year. The kid they drafted in the first round last year,
Watson,
yeah, Watson. He played pretty well by the time the season was done. Obviously, I was going to mention the tight end that Rogers loves, but he didn't have that much. Mercedes Lewis, but I was going to be a joke. But there's still some talent there, and it's certainly better than what Tennessee put out there. You know, they could improve because I do like Burks. He needs to step it up a little bit, but I think Tennessee's by far worse than Green Bay.
agree, but I think some of the reason why, obviously, they've got new GM now, obviously, the old one left, and I think their coach, could walk sooner rather than later. He obviously guaranteed AJ Brown weren't going anywhere and then was traded. So I think he's on the tipping point of walking out. I wouldn't be shocked if they get off to a bad start if he doesn't walk within 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, it's entirely possible for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how the Jets play out. To be honest with you, I would favour it not getting done because then they've got an extra second round pick. There's rumours about Balkanari might come as some part of the deal, which I heard this rumour from well-placed sources like the last couple games of the season, and that didn't seem as likely because he openly complained about Rodgers going to New York. But
Mm-hmm.
this is NFL, and you can't tell. But that if it did happen, that opens up all sorts of doors because they could trade back from 13. They could maybe pick if the Ohio State receiver's still there, they can get Garrett Wilson's running mates. So it would open up all sort of opportunities if that did happen.
Yeah, there's actually some conversation that I'll never say the kid's name. The number one receiver coming out again out of Ohio State. There's talk about the Jets maybe latching on there and doubling up, which would really make that core something special if this kid is anywhere near as good as Wilson, which he might be better.
I heard that. What I've heard from people I trust, they said he's thought higher of than Garrett Wilson, but maybe a little bit more prone to getting banged up, which
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know as much as you about college football, but just based on the knowledge what I do have, I would agree with that
He has a
assessment.
little trouble staying on the field. He played 3 games last year. He was hurt, limited by a hamstring injury, I believe, most of the year. So, but the talent level is there, and if they're willing to gamble that their training staff can get this kid ready to play football, they say he very well might be better than either Chris uh, Olav or Lavi, however you say his name, or Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would because what that does is it opens up all sorts of things. Lazard becomes your free, and then if you don't cut Corey Davis, which I think is quite likely, he would be your fourth, or Hardman would be. That is a deep receiving core. So it would be interesting if that does happen. If it does, also because you've got so many guys, if he does get banged up, you're not as crippled by it. And when he's there, he's there. And when he's not, you've got people what can step in. It's almost like having a thoroughbred of you can give him a run out, and if not, then you've got guys to step in.
Yeah, I think the Jets, assuming they get Rodgers, I think the Jets are in a great position to really help themselves in this draft. And they could be one of the favorites in the AFC if things break out right. I hate to say that, Dan.
I know you do. That's what Johnny says to me. He'd be pleased for me, but he wouldn't love it if that happened.
Well, we'll see how it plays out.
I agree. So moving to baseball, a lot happened in the last week. A lot of stuff happening to do with the sticky stuff, if you will. Mets had Matt Scherzer thrown out of the game, and I know it also affected a Yankees game. I'm sure you've got some thoughts on this, Kev.
Well, I think I do have some very strong thoughts because anytime the pitchers try to get an edge, they get, I think, too harsh a penalty. 10 games for Scherzer for this, to me, is nuts. I realize that's only 2 starts, but still, that's 2 starts out of, 26 or 28 or however many he'll make. He's 40 years old. And I think, every advantage, Major League Baseball's tried to get the hitters every advantage and every rule change and everything that happens in baseball since 1968. Now, some people will say that, some of the rules this year were put in to help the pitchers, but I'm sorry, I don't agree. Everything they do, now you can't have spider tack. I'm not even sure exactly what Scherzer had on his hand that day, and I don't understand why he dropped his appeal. To be honest with you, he got his fine lowered from 10,000 to 5,000 by dropping his appeal. That's like nothing. What's he care about $5,000? He makes $40 million a year. He should have, at least, if nothing else, kept the appeal. Even if the ban stayed at 10 games, maybe they can put it off a couple of months because he could use the 10 days off probably in the middle of the season at 40 years old better than he could in April. So I just, this whole thing smells bad to me. I know what happened in the Yankee game the other day as well. But I just don't like the way Major League Baseball is going. Just the pitchers have to resort to these things because they need to find an edge somewhere.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, look, would I prefer it didn't happen? Yes, but it's not the crime of the century in regard to Riley. It's like my hunch is the team probably said that we don't want any more eyes on this. The league probably made echoes of that to the team as well. Probably said, take the penalty, and we don't want any more people writing articles on it and so forth. That's probably what caused it, not the money.
No, I'm sure that's probably the case. I mean, I don't think for a minute he accepted it because of the 5,000. I would have, the Mets, I get it, but the Mets would probably, if they thought about it hard enough, they probably would rather Scherzer spend 10 days idle in July than in April because he could probably use a blow then. But, this whole thing, and there's a whole, I don't know if we talked about it here. I've talked about it in a couple other places and on my shows. The spider tack thing last year, and Garrett Cole talked about this, the fact that, the baseballs today are so hard and they don't rub up like they used to. And it's not just for them to get an advantage pitching. It's a safety issue. Look at how many guys, since they've really been cracking down on this substance abuse, if you will, by pitchers. Look how many guys are getting hit in the face, and very dangerous pitchers and Garrett Cole said last year, somebody will get killed because they won't let us use this to help our control. Now, I understand it's also helping other things, spin rates and all this other, technical jargon, but you're also putting guys at risk. These guys are throwing 100 miles an hour, Dan, and if they're not comfortable with the ball coming out of their hand and they're hitting guys in the face, you've seen 2 or 3 guys already this year with serious beanings, and I'm scared for somebody really. Fortunately, it hasn't been that serious, but it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I agree. I think watch this space, and before we move to talking the Knicks, what's your thoughts on young trophy for um the Yankees, and I know you, much like myself, was concerned if we was pronouncing it right. I had a guest on a Yankee show what like coached him when he was younger, and he calls him AV, and I think I'll continue down that
Nice.
route because it solves my problem.
I like it. AV. Sweet. I'm all done. I can pronounce that all day long. Um, I like what the kid. Listen, the way he carries himself is as important as anything he's done on the field, and he hasn't hit the ball um, for a high average, but he's getting on base a lot. He's walking a lot. He's stealing. I think he's leading the league in steals. Um, he's making all the plays on defense. Now Peraza's up. It's interesting that Peraza's playing second base and Volpe is playing shortstop because if they're both going to play, you probably would want to flip flop that because Volpe's fine. AV, sorry, is fine at shortstop, but Peraza's really, really good, and he's better than him defensively. My guess is this is, it's also, I think they want Volpe to be the shortstop because of the stature of that position in New York, coming in the footsteps a little ways beyond of Derek Jeter. And I think they want Volpe to be that face within the franchise. So if this becomes, I think if they play together, it's going to be Peraza at second base and Volpe at short.
I do agree with you. So what Bobby said, he said he feels Cashman messed up a little bit because what he actually apparently a lot in the organisation, particularly in the coaching, prefer Piazza, but what he said is Cashman promised Anthony a clear run at it, and so what he told us is he went to Tampa over a month, I believe it's 6 weeks before everyone else did, and was working out, and that caused somewhat of a headache for the organisation because he made use of that
Yeah.
time. So it could be true. I like that inside look of hearing that, and he also spoke about how hard the young man works.
Oh, listen,
Even when he was in his mid-teens, he worked and
yeah,
worked and worked.
yeah, I've got nothing but glowing things to say about AV because I think he will be the face of one of the faces of this franchise, along with Judge for the next 10, 12 years. And I think him and Peraza may play together. From a baseball standpoint, is Peraza probably would be the shortstop if everything else was off the table, but it's not. This is New York, and uh, things outside of just baseball matter. And I don't mean I'm not trying to demean the kid. He's a really good shortstop.
No,
He's making all the plays, But
I agree. So if someone wants an inside look at the young man, everyone check out interview. His name's Bobby D. He makes his own content with Frankie Yankee. So a really good inside look. I called him the optimistic Yankee because he was definitely the most optimistic of the four of us. So it was a very interesting episode.
well, I relate to Cranky, so I got to check it out.
We've already said we'll work with him again. He come to me from Rob Logan. He when Rob was in the sports business, helped Rob out, and they've stayed in touch. And he was showing us a creep Bobby made back in 2013, I believe it was, and said this young man can be the starting shortstop for the Yankees. So, he got that right.
You know what? The kid looks the part. He just does, and he carries himself with great a blob, if you will. I mean, he reminds me again. I'm not saying he will have Derek Jeter's career, but he reminds me a lot of Derek Jeter in the way he carries himself on the field. Take everything else away. I like the way he carries himself a lot.
He that was exactly what he said. He said no, he's not saying he's Derek Jeter, but apparently he worshipped Derek Jeter when he was growing up. He told the story about when he saw him on the field and from someone that's coached all his life, he called up his brother and said, "I've just seen the best baseball player I've ever seen come down and watch him." And then his team lost three players who got poached. So he did say he had an appointment coming up, and he said to the young man's dad, "I need your son. I'm in love with your son. He can come with me for the next month." And his dad was fully on board. They've stayed in touch
That's cool.
since. He communicated with him when he was drafted, and I believe he's going down to the stadium in 2 weeks' time. So I'm interested in hearing that story.
That's a great story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the kid. I don't want my remarks to be misinterpreted that I don't think he should be the
No,
shortstop. I mean, look at he's fine. It's just
yeah.
it's a weird situation anyway because if Peraza plays, Glaber's out of here. So it's going
Yeah,
to be interesting.
and he's been lighting it up as well. Look, it's a good problem to have all these young players producing. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm interested by this. We'll have to, when your schedule eases up, we'll have to get you on our Yankees show and
absolutely.
join us. So the New York Knicks, back in action tonight. Going from me and you talked to their terrific start
Mhm.
on Sunday, and the second game, I'm forgetting what night it was. I think Tuesday. A bit of a car crash, and I don't mean that harshly. I'm a big fan of the team, but not the best version of themselves.
I thought you were a big fan of car crashes. You weren't trying to put down car crashes. No, it wasn't very pretty. Um, but again, they can, all they have to do is come home and take care of business. They haven't played as well at home this year as you would like to them to have, but the second half of the year, I think they played much better in the Garden. And if they take care of business at home, they don't have to win any more games in Cleveland, and that's what matters here. One thing I will say, and I'm very rarely critical of Tibbs, as you know, I'm a big fan of Thibodeau. I don't. I think he left the starters in too long the other night. I mean, I'm all for fighting all the way through, and Cleveland did still have their starters in, but that game was out of hand, and they weren't winning. And he left Randall in there, and I think Hart might have played a little too much. He left Randall in there to take a big shot with a couple minutes left in the game. Got knocked into a couple rows back in the seats, and fortunately didn't get hurt. But I would have probably got my starters out of there and just keep them healthy to get home. But I still like the Knicks in this. I still think they match up well. It was just an off night. Hart was banged up, and hopefully he'll be better when they play tonight, right, or tomorrow? Tonight.
Yeah, yeah, tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, tonight. Hopefully his ankle's much better. You could tell he wasn't. He wasn't even close to. I mean, I wouldn't think he was even 80% the other night. Which again, he's a big cog in his team. This team became a different team when he arrived from Portland, and he showed the other night, I think, how important he is to this team.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. Can't wait. And I just want to communicate. Next week we'll be on the brief pause until the next week. Keith's got golf with Robert Frost, so I've gave him a leave of absence.
No, people are going to think I run in the wrong circles if you say that, because I'm not. I can't be ending up in massage parlors with him after a round of golf. My wife would kill me.
Um, but seriously, yeah, a week off. Obviously, it doesn't work out too badly because of the draft. As me and Keith said, Keith's going to pop on next week, so you'll still get your dose of Keith. His interview show will also take a 1 week pause as well. I believe, if I'm remembering the dates right. But we've got so many great guests. Be sure to subscribe to his channel because you don't want to miss his great interviews.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dan. And I'll probably try to get on maybe Friday sometime, um, Friday night maybe, and do the Major League Baseball update. We'll try to do something because I got to kill some time. Again, I'm in Lansing, Michigan. What else am I going to do?
No problem, and we'll talk about that. Off air, got in preparation for your interviews a funny story to tell you, but we can't share that publicly. Keith, before we wrap up your Sunday stream of consciousness, I'll take it going live this Sunday.
We will be live Sunday, and that we won't miss a beat with that at all during the next couple of weeks. Again, things are going to be pretty hectic for me for the next couple of months, so there could be some interruptions that I don't expect um, along the way, and I'll try to keep people apprised of it. Yeah, we'll have a big show this week talking about the NBA playoffs. We'll talk some hockey. I wanted to get Jim on, Jim Beringer, and we haven't been able to hook up because he's been really busy himself and playing hockey himself. I was going to try to tape something with him for Sunday and just hasn't worked out. So I'll try to carry the torch a little bit there. And certainly we got a lot of Major League Baseball to talk about, and it'll be a fun show.
If you get stuck for hockey guy and Jim can't make it, I might be able to hook you up with someone, but we'll talk
Okay.
about that off air. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to check me out tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with Let's Talk About It, one of our newer shows well worked on Wild's Way, where Johnny Cruz joins me and we talk a little bit of everything. We talk NFL news, NBA, baseball, and also a little bit of pop culture where we talk Star Wars and Marvel. And this week we've got Robert Butler the third, not that Robert Butler, but he's a director. You can check out his content on Amazon, and he's worked on a lot of TV publications, just something a little bit different what I worked on. So be sure to check us out. It's going to be a great episode.
I've checked you guys out. It's a lot of fun. I'm a big Star Wars fan myself. I get 2 episodes of The Mandalorian to catch up on tonight, actually. So um, there's my Star Wars reference for the night.
So, looking forward to it, everyone. Don't forget to check Keith out on Sunday. And thank you to everyone for watching. And until next time, let's talk sport fans.
Have a great weekend.